Hello guys, and welcome to another one of my Fortnite videos. We have the legendary schematic for the floor launcher trap in the event store for 1680 Spring It On Gold. And I bought it, and I did that not because I need another really, but because it is so amazing. I would like to have more of these for different power levels for the resources that I find in the different maps that I'm playing. For reference, this here is my main. It has 3 rolls with impact and knockback. It has increased reload speed and a little bit additional durability, so I am very happy with the rolls that I have on my main floor launcher. I think it is amazing. And yeah, of course we have this one. For reference, we have 5 perk rolls on these legendary schematics, and we have 4 on the epics. So that is like the main difference between them, is that you get an extra chance to have crazy good things on them. This here is how it looks. It has an arming delay, some reload time, and then it has a knockback, impact, durability, and crit chance. The important thing about this floor launcher is that it requires, again, this powder that you get from smashing stones. It looks like this when you're not in the game. It may look like a fist when you're in the game, but this here is how it looks in my armory. And just for reference, since I'm not doing the level up kind of stuff here, this here is how it looks at power level 20. So no like huge difference in the appearance of the actual schematic as we have with some things in the game, such as heroes. They undergo a change visually in the game. These do not. But as you can see here, we have planks, nuts and bolts, and then we have some type of powder matching up with the stars of your trap. I want to do a lot of testing. I have done a lot of testing with this here, and the first thing I want to show you guys and look into is whether or not the floor launcher will fire through stairs and slants. Can it hit something on top of another object? Because that is pretty important in terms of how you can use it and where you want to position it. So I made it like a stairs climbing up. And as you can see, these launchers are not firing when there is another structure on top of them, so we do not get to push things through stairs, and that is really important, so that's a no-go. Another thing that is important is that it can actually fire, as you can see here, without pushing things. So if they just gently step on the sides, it will fire without pushing them. It's just like nudging their toes, but they're not flying like into the air. So another important thing is that depending on how you move the husks, you can actually like waste your durability on it. So it's a good thing to use with a like really good path. The most common way to use these is with slants or like stairs that are inverted. You can use them as I did up there, one tile in the air, or you can use them all the way down by the trap. You can also make the corners. It all works. And first things first, we need to find out, does this work with a taker? Will it push a taker? Will it stun it? Will it do anything with it? So I put up my slowing stasis field, and as you can see here, takers don't really care. They are not getting pushed at all. So just as with what we saw with the flame grill trap, the floor launcher is completely inefficient against flying husks. So that is important to keep in mind, even though we don't have that many. Here you can see these slants or inverted stairs in action. Something steps on the floor launcher, it is pushed into the air. Physics then makes it so that when it hits the angle, it is pushed away to the side, which means that you can use multiple structures together to really have an amazing effect from these floor launchers. You can also use the inverted stairs directly on top of these, and this is like a super way to do it, but you need to note that this can happen. As you can see, fast moving husks can actually like bypass the important part of the floor launcher and not get launched in the air. So that is worth keeping in mind. If you want this to work, you need to make sure that the husk moves directly through the area and it doesn't want to like corner through what you have made. So I'm just making another setup here to just show you guys a little bit about how that can be done. And of course we're going to be toying around with a fire smasher because we wanna hit something really nasty. It is very important when you have your launchers that you keep this impact and knockback in mind, because the more of that you have, the more goodie you're going to be having. It will only push things away if it has a strong enough impact and knockback. And that is why if you have a low-powered one, it won't work against tough mobs such as smashers. So taking one that has a really high impact and knockback will really yeah, it will take you to the win. Another thing I always want to look into is, can this be working against a charging smasher? And as we just saw here, it doesn't. The smasher will charge past it, but it won't be affected by it. So it will try to push it, but the smasher is simply moving too fast for it to have any type of effect. And as you can see, even when it is starting its charge, it won't be pushed. So there is something triggering when the smasher begins to charge that makes it completely ignore these. So it is running, it is starting to run on the tiles it was before, but it still doesn't get pushed by these. So charging smashers, floor traps, it just doesn't really seem like it is working whatsoever. But I mean, that is one of the few perks of being a smasher, is that you can smash, Hulk smash. So once again, just preparing for the next line of testing here, where we want to have it like moving right under this, so you guys can get a bit of an idea. Like at first we can see here it goes up and it gets shot on the angle away, so that is using it in combination with a wall. What this does is that it allows you to have some kind of wall trap as well there, completely open, but you can also have the direct slant here, and that gives the same effect, only that the husk isn't put as high up in the air. So depending on where you want to move it, you can choose these two options. And what I really like to do is to actually use a small wall like this and make the husks fall to the other side of that. Of course here we don't have a good path, but if you have an open base, you can actually push husks behind another wall, then they will move around it to get back to the trap and push them backwards again. So there are a lot of options. You can really use this here to have a lot of fun with the smashers and all the other husks. And I think the most classic use of these is to push things over a cliff into a basement somewhere where the husks cannot get out of, and then they're just gonna die. They're gonna insta-die from not having a way up like that. So that is like the ideal way, I think, to use these, to take husks out, giving them pretty much unlimited damage if you look at it like that. But fire smashers are not the only thing we're gonna be toying around with. No, they are not. So that was like, first part was a bit of a classic way to use it, the strategic way to use it. What I want to do now is just to show you guys the crazy like height knockback wise of these floor launchers. It is pretty insane, and it leads to a very, very important thing about the floor launchers and how Fortnite works, and that is the physics system. When things fall down in Fortnite, they take damage. So even though these traps have no damage of their own, these husks are all taking damage from falling down, and they are getting pushed quite high up in the air. So this here is related to their knockback stat, and again to their impact stat. So the more impact it has, the more likely it is going to push the husk that is on it, and the more knockback it has, the more power it is actually going to push it with. So as you can see, these husks here are now close to being dead, and they haven't really done anything. And this is actually one of the ways I won a lot of missions while I was playing in the early game. Again, here we can see a charging smasher being completely, like, it doesn't care. It knows the way, so it's just charging through them. But one of the ways I was completing a lot of missions while I started playing was to just have floor launchers, because husks would never get to the base. They would be stun locked in the air or knocked down on the ground, taking damage, never getting to the base. And if they got to the base, I would use wall launchers to push them away as well. So I didn't need damaging bases because I had my launchers, and that is, like, you can also shoot them while they're in the air or like on the ground. Combine it with base height, then they take damage while they're lying down there as well. So you have a lot of really cool options to use these traps, making them really some of my favorite traps in the game. The wall launchers and the floor launchers that we're looking into here are probably the traps with like most strategic usage options in the game. A really cool thing about them is if you have something such as a pyramid base and you get an opponent that smashes a part of your pyramid, they're gonna instantly fire, sending that opponent away, giving you a little bit of a time to put down something else while they're in the air. You can also choose to have these open slants and really keep the husks trapped under there. The downside is, of course, that you're not gonna see this physics damage from them falling, but they're gonna be in a knocked down state in there where you can bash them and take them out, and also use things that deal additional damage to that. So that was like another way where you can just use the floor launchers as damaging traps. We can really see them here in effect. Just a random patrol. And it really leads me to another important thing. Propane smashers, exploders, do not drop their propane flasks while they are falling down from being in the air. They're gonna hang on to that flask like crazy. So this may take them out. If it takes them out, they're just gonna drop their propane flask. It will not be ignited, but they're never gonna drop it just from the impact and knockback not going up, and definitely not falling down. So that is something if you were wondering, it is definitely something I have tested, because I had high hopes at some point in the game that I could knock these flasks out of their hands, but no, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. And you can toy around all you want with these different types of structures and combine them. With the floor launchers, I have a lot of fun doing that, but none of it is really as efficient as just using them to push things into a basement, off a cliffside, or just away from your base, or having them take this pretty nasty physics damage from falling. This is a power level 100 mission, guys, and these husks are dying from falling down. So it's not like I'm in some like low powered mission. Physics damage is, as far as I know, percentage based on your health, so it is super efficient. I mean, I love this because they're cheap to craft and they are very, very reliable, and it works like a charm. What I want to dig into here, guys, is to compare power level 20 and power level 130 floor launcher. What I want to try to show you guys here is a difference in the pushing height of these two traps, because I went into a power level 19 mission, which means that I'm of course capped, being as strong as I can be here. But there is still a difference between coming with a high level trap and a low level trap, but not really that much. This is a level 1 floor launcher, so it hasn't been upgraded at all. It is straight off the event store, and I can use it in Plankerton. So that is actually how strong this legendary schematic that I just bought for this video here is. It is completely viable in Plankerton against mobs. So that alone is a pretty good reason why you should buy it. But as you can see here, having these roofs, ceilings, 2 tiles up in the air, and the husks actually hit those when they are on the floor launchers, and this goes for both the power level 130 and power level 20 traps. So at level 50 and level 1, these husks are pushed up 2 tiles into the air. So I'm just going up 3 tiles because this is where we can actually see a difference between my power level 100 with the additional perks and the additional power. We have that here. Husks are being pushed up there. So we're gonna see one again right around the corner. And then we have the comparison of it really, so you can see the difference between the 2 traps. See, there we have Dr. Pitcher going all the way up and hitting it. When he's on the power level 130 trap, he hits the 3rd tile area. When he's on the power level 20, he doesn't quite hit it, and that is the difference in how much it is being pushed by my better trap with the better perks. What I'm doing here is to just make my base defense for the Atlas, and I'm going exclusively with floor launchers because I'm a bit silly like that when I'm testing. And what I made here is a second layer of floor launchers with inverted stairs up by the base, so if the husks get there and they smash them, they're going to have to do it twice to get to the Atlas. Down by 1 spawn, I'm just making a line of these floor launchers, and I'm making sure with a very, very small barricade that the husks are going to select the path where the floor launchers are, so that I know they're gonna select that path. And for some of these, I'm going to push the husks further away, and for some of them, I'm just gonna push them into the air. So one acts more as a delay, where the other is acting more as a damaging option. So it is really time consuming for them to get to my base. And this here is the second spawn area we have, and I'm going to do almost the same, in that I'm only going to make floor launchers, and I'm going to use them to delay the husks, to damage them, and then I'm going to use them to push them backwards again. So here at the end of this path, I'm putting an inverted stairs to push them back again, so they're going 2 tiles backwards. If they reach this point, they're gonna go here, and after 2 tiles, I'm going to set up once again an inverted stairs, pushing them back again, so they're gonna have so much delay and so many options to get pushed backwards that getting to the actual Atlas in itself is gonna be an amazing journey for them. Exactly. So that is like, I have these two defense options, one of them being massively focused on simply delaying and pushing husks backwards while damaging them, and the other being more like trying to push them to the side. And the one that pushes them to the side is the least efficient one. I wanted to include a great deal of the testing that I have done that I felt could be in some way meaningful to new players out there, because the floor launchers have so many options and they are just so important to have. Besides the legendary survivor in the event store, I feel this schematic is the most important thing you can buy. Perhaps if you already have it, I still feel that way. But let's just check out the first defense here. We have the first two pushing them down there, and then we have the others just pushing them up. And what I really could have done was to push them the other way, so they would have to go like all the way back again, but I just wanted to get a bit of a glimpse on the damage. Also, so you guys can compare the damage here with what we had in the power level 100 mission to see that the damage is actually the same. Because it's physics damage, it is related to the percentage of the husk's life depending on how high up in the air they are. The like major drawback of these is of course ranged husks. So if you have pitchers and lobbers, you need to do some legwork, because they're not going to take the physics damage, because odds are they're not going to reach that part of the game where they're going to be pushed unless you have like what I have on the other side at the other spawn, one very long line. Then they're actually going to move because they're not blocked. Then they're going to move all the way to the base trying to hit it, and they're going to be taken out by the physics damage in that process. So because I have a blockade much earlier on the spawn where we push them to the side, we actually get more husks coming to the base. Whereas I don't have a blockade but have more physics damage on the other, I see almost no husks coming from there because they actually die just from the physics damage. So like really cool stuff, I feel. Here we have a smasher also coming up to join the party, and as long as the smasher doesn't charge, it ain't gonna go anywhere besides backwards. So that is another really cool thing that you can keep in mind. As soon as the smasher starts to charge, your floor launchers are not gonna help you the slightest bit. But as long as it is like chillaxing, it is just gonna go out there, get one shot off, and if you can get it down like there on another launcher, you can actually push it even further away and have like a bit of a loop going on. Yeah, okay, so it didn't really trigger there, but it can happen depending on the map you have and where you can push the husks. I have a slope here, which means that I'm pretty limited in terms of what I can do because I can't build on the angled path. But this is something you need to fool around with and really look into the different maps you have. What options do they give you in terms of going crazy with your launchers, because you can often find somewhere in your map where it makes amazingly good sense to put down some floor launchers. I feel so anyway, and they are one of the cheapest things to craft in my opinion, because you just need to bash some stone. Of course, nuts and bolts can feel really rare in the early game where you replace weapons all the time and you don't have as much backpack space, so you can't be stashing up on stuff. As you get deeper into the game, it's like, okay, who wants a few stacks of nuts and bolts because I have 2,000 or 3,000 of them and I need to clean my inventory. But guys, this here was actually completing a power level 19 Atlas just with floor launchers, and of course I did fire a few shots, but I had to do that with pitchers and with lobbers and, you know, stuff that really ganked up on me. And this was not a challenging mission, but it was hopefully a demonstration again of how you can use the floor launcher to have fun and to be strategic and deal damage to husks. Should you buy it? Absolutely. I feel the floor launcher is one of the best traps in the game. You're gonna enjoy having it from now on till end of Twine Peaks. It is absolutely amazing. So yes, buy the floor launcher schematic if you can afford it. That was what I had to share in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you very much for watching.